So this is the October 5th, 2020 Marketing Committee meeting, not the Finance Committee meeting. So I'll hand it over to you, Suzanne.
Okay, I forgot I had to lead this thing. Let me see.
Do you need the agenda?
Yeah,
Let's see if I can. Oh, where's the agenda?
I mean, I pulled up your notes, but I didn't pull up the agenda.
Can you see it?
Yep, I can, thank you.
Because I can't.
So I called this meeting to order, and our roll call is Jeanette Nicholson,
Present.
Andrew Cooper,
I'm here.
Dan Spellin, and Tony Tazi as our executive director / secretary / whatever. Okay, last prior minutes meetings were like 100 years ago.
Yeah, I'm just saying I completely forgot to draft those, so my apologies.
Yeah, I'm sure we approve. So let's get down to the main course of business here, which is reviewing the proposals for the website design. Want to take it away there, Tony?
Sure. Well, so as you know, we have three proposals, and you've certainly seen an awful lot of questions and my feedback. You know, if money's not a concern to the committee, my recommendation would be to go with Vibrant. If money is a concern, my recommendation would be to go with Mika and Philip, and I won't butcher their names. And I really was not impressed with Capital District Digital. Actually, I did a little bit more research on their CMS, and they're proposing to use Rockin, which is spelled R-O-C-H-E-N, and the customer service. I saw a lot of reviews, and just about every single one of them was saying the same thing. Forget about customer service. So, Kate, I think you guys probably saw what was basically a recommendation by Kate to go with Vibrant. She has used them for the Cohoes IDA, and she really likes what they're doing there. That website has not been rebuilt to the point that it's gone live yet. With Vibrant, it is pricey. It's $10,000 compared to $4,700 or $6,000, and they have a subscription plan. Actually, they have three different plans. One is $250, which wasn't actually written in the proposal. Another is $500, which provides 4 hours of tech support. And another is $1,000 a month, which provides 8 hours of tech support. And with each of those, the $500 and $1,000 subscriptions, you get a slew of maintenance and auditing and website tracking and all that, techie kind of stuff that I'm not sure what it does.
And a lot of that I think isn't probably relevant to us. The maintenance and stuff, sure, but the tracking and reporting, and that's like business.
That's exactly what I mean, I'm not really concerned about how many hits we're getting, and maybe you guys are, but for a business I would be, but not for a land bank. So
so that 500 4 hours a month would be including teaching you how to use it?
Actually, that teaching me how to use it is part of the proposal.
Okay.
So the $10,000 proposal fee would, if we selected either one of those two subscriptions, they would be able to spread the cost of that. They didn't tell me over how many months, but they said they would be able to spread the cost of that over time, so it's not as impactful budget on the budget. And my suggestion, if you guys wanted to go with Vibrant, would be to start with the higher tier, the $1,000 tier, and then drop off once we don't really feel like we need that level of help. I think I'd rather have more going into this than less.
How easy is it to change that subscription?
I
Like,
believe you
can
can
change it every month.
Yeah, I believe you can. I'm almost sure that that's what I was told.
How
So,
big a company are they? How many people?
oh boy, compared to the others, they have quite a crew. How many precisely? It's in their proposal, but that's one of the things. They have multiple people. You know, and in one of my notes I said I've dealt with larger companies in my previous life, and sometimes, you know, they sell you to get the contract, and then they kind of forget about you and they just move on to other projects. But after giving this a little bit more thought and looking into it, it's not a huge firm by any means. And you know, what Kate had to say means a lot because she's dealt with them before. And it seems like they actually do work as a partner rather than, you know, okay, we've got the contract, we'll get to you when we want to get to you. So I could be wrong, but I feel fairly confident that we would get good service from them in terms of moving things along.
Did Kate say anything about whether or not, let's say, you know, you've got Bob as your tech guy, does that mean you'll get Bob all the time so the new person doesn't have to be, you know, reacquainted every time you call with a problem?
He did not say that. And I did not ask that question. So I don't have
That
any.
would be nice. I mean, you know, maybe not one person or maybe a couple people who were like ours, and you didn't have to go through that time-consuming explanation of everything every time you called.
Yeah, I know I asked for the website rebuild, who am I really going to deal with? And he told me who the two people were that I deal with. And then I kind of talked to him on the phone. I said, no, really, who is the person I'm going to deal with? And he said we would assign, I forget what the title is, but we would assign, one person to deal with you directly when it comes to that part of the rebuild.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Because it's not like calling up Spectrum and you get, one of 50 billion people who you have to explain everything to all over again.
Exactly. And that's with GoDaddy when I call, I mean, you're always going to get somebody different. I shouldn't say that. But
Look, Tony, if they're really not helpful, it doesn't matter who the hell you get.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, if they were, you could get a different person, and if they were super sharp and knew what was going on, then
Right.
it wouldn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it seems less likely that would happen, but that's the real test: is do you get the support you need?
Well, and I think this would work different than our arrangement now. And I've given this more thought too, as this is kind of sunk into my brain. Our arrangement now is, I'm the person talking to GoDaddy when things go wrong. And every once in a while, Mika will do that, especially when it comes time for all the upgrades that, there's an annual thing that I don't quite understand, but she does. So, that comes at a cost of, I don't know, $65 or $75 an hour. She speaks their language and I obviously don't. With Vibrant, they're the folks that are actually going to talk to the internet end of this thing and work out whatever bugs might be in the way. So, and one of the things that I kind of liked about Vibrant, they did not say who the host would be. What they said instead was, we'd really like to understand, who the best host would be for the land bank. And they did list probably half a dozen or more. So it gave me a better feel that we're going to get more of a tailor-made rebuild, but also a tailor-made, ongoing relationship with them.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I think that's a good sign, because if you have a company that only works with one tool, then they're always going to be telling you that that's the best
Right.
one because it's the only one, and potentially it's the only one they understand.
Yeah, it's kind of like having the nail and the hammer being.
Yeah, right. If all you have is a hammer, everything's a
Yeah, right.
And that's what Capital District Digital said to me. We only use one because they're great. And then I went and looked at the reviews, and they got high marks for some things, but my God, their customer service was butchered by everybody, and they were butchered for all the same reasons.
What, Tony, do you know a ballpark of what we've spent so far, and or like on an annual basis for all of our online stuff?
I don't off the top of my head, Andrew. I could go through my financial records and come up with to the penny number, but off the
Well,
top.
I'm sure. Yeah, and I'm not looking for that.
I know,
I'm curious, like, if we're looking at whatever monthly rates for these different companies, how does that compare to what we've been spending? I don't know if we know what our startup cost was, however long ago that was. for the site.
Yeah, that I would probably have trouble finding that.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. It's not necessary. I just was thinking that would be interesting to see.
I know we just got an $800 bill from GoDaddy for an annual subscription to, some chunk of it.
Tony, we haven't spent any money for marketing, and I am assuming that this is the pot it's going to come out of for this expense?
Yeah, it would have to. Most of the marketing budget is really Greg Tobin. That's where I have budgeted it for his commission.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know where else to put it in the budget the way it's drafted. So,
And we don't really have a opportunity cost for spending, however many thousand here versus we don't really know where else it would go at this point, right? Marketing wise.
no, we don't. Let's see if I can find that.
Well, I sort of think we should go with, make the recommendation for Vibrant. I mean, the other two just seem like more of the same and possibly more troublesome. So I say go with the more money one, and hopefully we'll get more than we need.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards them as well.
It's I agree. I feel like the challenge with any of them, and I was sort of saying this to Tony at the start, is having been involved in several of these kind of relationships over the years with technical providers of whatever. The issue is the problems are almost always due to lack of clarity in expectations, and the challenge is often, as Tony was saying, he doesn't speak the language. So I don't know, this is sort of separate from who we go with, but whomever we go with, I'm curious as to how we make sure that we're all on the same page. Like, what do did they have any of them, or Vibrant in particular, like, do we know what their development process is? Like, we're going to tell them this is what we want, but that needs to happen 20 times, because they're going to say, you mean this? And you'll say, no, I meant that. Oh, right. Okay, this. Well, maybe, except what about this thing? And then, that's just how it happens, right?
Yeah, I believe so the first step is website strategies /architecture/user experience. And I think that is the kind of the first step of, okay, what is the Troy Community Land Bank, and what do they need? I will say this, that when Kay told me that when Vibrant was doing the Co's IDA site, they started drifting off in a direction because they didn't realize what an IDA was and what their website needs were. So she had to explain to them, you know, the IDA is a public authority and it's a different kind of website than it would be for a business. And they didn't know that. I don't think you can fault them for it, but going back to Andrew, what you said, I think it needs to be really clear, you know, what kind of entity we are and what we, you know, what's important to have on there. The public authority stuff absolutely positively has to be there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and even down to exactly what do you update on a weekly basis, you or whoever, you know, because those are the like that's the stuff you struggled with, right? Like I can't post a meeting notice.
Yeah, that's right.
Right down to that level of detail, because, and then we can hold them accountable, especially if we're paying, you know, for the, within what we're looking at, the high end. It better be high end, you know, like, but it's only going to be as good as we can explain that we want, you know, and then you can't fault them. If we said we didn't, you know,
Well,
20 years ago when I was working in this job and it just started, and the private contractor for the state was paid hundreds of millions of dollars in change requests. Like every day, the state's like, well, we need this. Well, you didn't tell us that. I mean, there are other things going on, obviously, but that's the kind of thing that I get worried about because of that experience.
Well, they actually, but the last conversation I had with Vibrance folks, they actually walked me through the Concrete 5 software. And if you had a chance to read what I wrote.
I did, yeah. I read through your summaries of all three. And the
I was
Q&As.
really happy with what I saw. It seemed almost as easy as using Word. You know, with WordPress, if you want to change something, you have to go back to this awkward template that looks nothing like the page you want to post things on. And it's a slow process. And lately I'm having trouble even finding my files. And with Concrete 5, you just start the page as if it were a Word page. And it's very similar to doing that. So I'm not going to an awkward template. I'm going right to the page, and I can see right in front of me how that page is getting drafted. So intuitively, it seemed very natural to me to be able to use.
And is that, so that better product is that reflected in a higher monthly subscription? I felt like I'm trying to remember here, I'm looking back at the comparisons, that the monthly rates, once the site's developed, didn't seem that different, but.
Yeah, I don't think they were, Andrew. Let's see.
Because I mean, the argument there, if there needs to be one, is that has a value because your time has value and our compliance has value with all of the requirements that we have to meet. And so an easier, faster, more reliable process is, you know, over time worth more.
Yeah, it might save you from jumping out the window too.
Well, yeah, you know, personal health as well.
Hey, Tony, would the person from SEAT, I've forgotten her name, but the person who apparently speaks the same language as these folks, would she be involved in perhaps at least your initial conversations with these folks or
Well,
whomever, so that, I just think that if somebody already speaks the language, maybe for minor stuff, she would be worth her weight in gold as well.
The person that usually does anything for us at SEAT, it was Nicole, and she actually left SEAT. She was the one that was doing our minutes, and now someone, Kamali, is doing those for us. But no one has really been involved at all in the website stuff.
Ah, okay.
So, and if they were, it would just be to update the content. And we started looking at someone to do that, but it just kind of didn't go forward. So there are options out there that we could look at for someone to do it. So Andrew, to get back to your question about hosting, they say that there are a bunch of hosts out there and the range in billing is $500 to $3,000 per year. And I want to say, I think that's what I just paid for with GoDaddy, and that was about 900. It was like
Right.
885.
Yeah, that's what. So I mean, at that point, at that level of comparison, it makes perfect sense that the product that the platform that you were more comfortable with is the one to go with.
Yeah.
The real difference is the design and setup cost.
Yes.
So if we drop GoDaddy and go to another platform, do we get the remainder of the yearly contract money back, or is there a penalty or anything like that?
I do believe we are able to be reimbursed, proportionately.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really good since we just paid it. The other concern I had was security, because our site continues to get hacked, and
Yeah, I noted that. I was like, what? I didn't know that was happening.
yeah, well, that frankly pisses me off, because the last time I dealt with GoDaddy, it was for them to sell me something for $250 that they, it was a firewall that they guaranteed would take care of all our problems, and it didn't do anything. And that was after we were upgraded to HTTPS, which is when we started to have all these wacky things happen. So, in my conversations with each of these consultants, I made it very clear that security is a very high priority to us. I mean, when I took this job, one of the clear thoughts I had was, this is the Attorney General's money, and their job is primarily to put people in jail. So I'm not going to do anything to mess up their money. So one of my fears is always getting hacked, through our website, and having our site, held hostage, or one of those weird things that happens and
Yeah.
makes the paper,
It happens a lot that never makes the paper.
Well, in private business, you can get away with it.
Oh yeah.
If you're small enough.
They don't want people to. Well, people don't want to advertise. They just pay, or they have insurance, and the insurance companies pay.
Yeah, we should look into that.
Might be worth. I mean, especially for like getting, held hostage, getting your data held hostage. But I don't know anything more about it except that it exists.
Well, that might
So if we go with Vibrant, which I think we all agree would be a great idea, so we'll recommend that to the board at the board meeting, and then hopefully you contact them and we'll be ready to roll with starting the arrangement. Not the website won't be ready to roll for a long time, but getting the process started.
Well, I just jotted down that I heard Jeanette make a motion that, Suzanne, you seconded that marketing committee was making a recommendation to select Vibrant.
Works for me.
Yeah,
Because that's how that's how I heard the conversation. So I thought it was heading right in that direction. And
Andrew, you concur?
I think that's what happened. Yes. Or are we voting?
okay.
To be clear, is this the vote?
Well, we could. I mean,
Or I'm just
Well-
agreeing. Yes, I think that I agree that that's what happened.
okay,
And
we'll be official. The
I'll make
motions
a
have been
motion.
made. All in favor?
I
Aye.
I.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
all right.
Okay. Do you guys have any feelings on that, the subscription?
Don't
I
we
think
have
it's a
to-
good idea to start big and then drop down.
Okay.
I mean, you might only need them for a month.
Well,
on the-
unless you can ramp it up. But I mean, if they're smart, they probably don't want that. Like, because then you go for the 2 hours, and then you hit 2 hours. Like, all right, let's bump it to the 4 hour. But I don't know if that's how it works. And if it doesn't, then I agree. I would start out at a higher level because I'm sure we'll need more, right? Or you'll need more support
What if we
initially.
started off at just 1 month at 1,000 and then drop down to 500 from there and see how that goes?
Yeah, I think, if it's English, if it is as intuitive as you said it is and everything goes well, I think, hopefully we'd be able to drop down. You wouldn't even need all of those 4 hours.
Yeah, that's what you're reading my mind, which should be scary.
I'm not really clear on what would constitute technical support versus their doing site maintenance.
Yeah, well,
Like, so because without knowing which is like, or whatever else, like I don't even know everything that would be happening and then where that, under what clock that would run,
well, I think if there's, let's say there's a security breach, that's not covered under the subscription, items that are in there. So I think in that event, we would have X number of hours for them to deal with whoever is the host or whoever has to resolve the problem to get it done, rather than, me trying to call or contact the host and resolve it.
Well, or unless the hosting includes some level of, guarantee of whatever. I always see those Cloudflare sites that say this site is still up because of Cloudflare security, blah blah blah.
And that's what I heard a lot from that Rokin or Rockin, it's pronounced Rockin, that they'll drop your website in a heartbeat if they see anything at all that they don't like. So,
Yeah, that's interesting.
so that'd be obviously something for me to have a conversation about with Vibrant when we get to that part of the.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kind. So I guess all I'm saying is probably we don't quite know enough to be 100% on exactly what you're going to need.
Oh,
But the logic of starting high makes sense to me. I'm not against that. I'm just saying, like, I don't even know, what end up being.
Well, 100% it won't be GoDaddy.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you guys for reading all the crap I sent to you.
I
That
saw
was
those emails
interesting.
and I thought this meeting was tomorrow, like at lunch today. I was like, I need to start looking at that stuff because we're meeting tomorrow. And I was like, wait, what day is it? Spent half my afternoon reading through. I was like,
Oh, sorry.
oh my God, all these emails. I mean, but then, most of them were just the back and forth. But
I've been rightfully accused of having diarrhea of the email.
it is. We say at my job that if you sent 3 emails, it's time to pick up the phone.
That might be
Just stop at the email.
So, is there anything else we need to talk about marketing wise?
I did have a question. A billion years ago, TAP and I guess it was really Barb Nelson was doing this video project where she could show the sort of the interior of a building before, and then also for folks without an imagination or much of an imagination could manipulate it in such a way as to show what the finished product would look like. Since it's difficult getting access to buildings at the time, I thought that would be just a wonderful, wonderful tool, but nothing ever came of it, did it, Tony? Or
No, and now that you say that, I'm not really sure why, because I said to Barb, that sounds like, something that would be very useful for our buildings, because
No kidding.
if folks saw the current conditions, um, it's not very impressive.
Well,
So I could touch base with Barb and ask if she still has that available. I mean, they actually were in a couple of our buildings, and
yeah, I thought there was like a demo that looked really, really good. And, um, yeah, well, just as I said, at the time, I thought it was a really, really useful tool. And then, I don't know, it never seemed to go anywhere.
yeah, it's
Yeah, that is a great idea, especially now with, well, between COVID and no imagination, which unfortunately most people don't have when it comes to
Right.
imagining buildings. They don't.
I know, and every time it just kills me. Like,
I mean, it's like watching House Hunters and they walk into a room with pink paint and they're like,
Oh,
oh,
I
I
hate this
can't buy
house."
this place. The house has pink paint. It's like, really? So I think it would be a great tool if we could do it.
well, I'll contact her and find out what happened. I know at one point, um, that whole thing was based on a Troy Savings Bank grant. And I think she had to come up with enough projects. So the grant was like 50% or maybe
Uh-huh.
25%. And she was a little worried that she wasn't going to be able to drum up the rest, the other end of it. So maybe
I
that's
know
what,
they did, the company that did those things did the library, and they did a couple other, didn't they do the house on Second Street? The big mansion? Or that might have been private. But I know they did the library because I was looking at it a couple days ago.
huh?
they did
Oh,
a
it's-
remodel, what a remodel would look like in the library, or just what it looks
No,
like
it
now?
was just a 3D tour where you could tour most of the library as like you were walking up the stairs and
Mhm.
and you could move your cursor around to different points and
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the imagining of a completed building from the ruins would certainly be great.
Well, I'll check in with Barb. I actually, someone else at TAP I need to speak to about something as well. So maybe I'll kill two birds with one stone tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they got a lot of stuff on their plate, but
They always
that's
do.
not an excuse.
Right.
Let's see. Has Greg shown anything lately? Do you know?
Um, well, we've got the offer on 899 River Street. I'm not sure how active he was in showing that. I know he was very active in 103 Ferry Street. The person that was going to purchase that changed her mind.
Oh, bummer.
So,
For
yeah,
the woman with the son who was going to live there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
That's all we
So
know
it's-
about it. We don't know anything, any other.
So
well,
it's available again?
she contacted me and she had questions, like 4 or 5 questions about the purchase contract. And I responded to her, and she wanted the purchase contract changed in a couple different places. And, I didn't say this, but I kind of doubt Kate would allow that to happen because it's a boilerplate purchase contract and some of the stuff in there is there because it has to be there. And so that was, my replies to her were in part some of those kinds of questions. What was one thing she asked? Oh, on the financing, she asked the question, instead of paying cash, can I finance it. And I said, well, I'd have to bring that back to the A&D committee. That might be a possibility. It's their call. But you'd probably have to show a letter of commitment. So, I mean, I didn't respond, in like a terrorist way at all. It was just informational. And there weren't a lot of questions. I have a feeling that she just changed her mind.
Or found a better building or.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much is it?
It was it 72.5?
Yeah, she offered, I think, 67 or 68 or something.
Yep.
And
Somewhere around there.
we recommended that you go back to her with like 72.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, a lot of people are not happy with our process, but it's the same process any land bank. Anyone would have to go through with any land bank by and large. So I think that might be part of the problem with some of these folks.
So it's available again?
It is. We can have you in there tomorrow.
Speaking
What
of
was-
getting in places, Tony, I guess you saw the Steve's report from the sanctuary about the.
Oh, sure did. Yeah, it sounded great.
Do you suppose maybe we could get in there for a peek, or should I just call Steve independently?
I mean, either way you want to do it. I was going to go in and just basically go in to take some photos to send to Tanya so that she would feel good.
One moment.
Sorry.
That would be great for Facebook too.
Barb Nelson said that she was going to be over there and that she would snap pictures for me, and I never got them. So, let me contact Steve and see what I can.
Well, when you do that, I'd appreciate it if you let me know. I'll meet you there, and
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking.
yeah.
Yeah, me too, if it's a day that I'm not at my job.
When
That'd be great.
when are you not?
Wednesday, Thursday.
So Wednesday and Thursday are good for you?
No, those are the bad days.
Okay. All right.
But I'm not that important. As long as somebody gets some pictures, we can put them up on Facebook.
Well, still, I'll see if I can arrange that. Yeah, I was really happy to see the latest report. Usually his reports are almost one or two liners. So that one made me feel very happy. They're getting there.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, any progress at this point from anybody is great.
Yeah. All right, I'll try to schedule something so the three of us can go. Andrew, it sounds like you're not interested or probably can't do it, right?
I mean, I'd be interested, but I don't know. Sure,
Well,
let me know. And if
you know.
I mean, scheduling around me is not worth the effort.
all right, I'll when I email, I'll keep you in the loop and you can do whatever you want.
Sure. Thanks.
Sure.
Yeah, Tony, it may be possible to do it like after regular work hours. I know the sanctuary has, not exactly standard hours, especially now. So I know at one point they were working like 1 to 8 or something. So if it was in the evening, Andrew, would you be more likely
Yeah.
to?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right.
Just throwing it out there.
Yep, that's a good idea. Thanks.
So what's going on in 791?
A lot. That place has gone from a snail to a rocket ship.
Oh.
Good.
Yeah, I have a feeling that there was some sort of a financial problem going on among the partners. Someone started to kind of sort of talk to me about it, but not in any kind of detail. But the interior was going fast forward. The storefront should be completed by now.
Doesn't look finished.
Well, when I say completed, I know there's parts that still have to, you know.
Yeah, the
add
exterior.
So the metal panels, I think, are the next big thing to happen. The interior, the floors are all down, the trim is on, it's been painted, the light fixtures are in, the kitchen cabinets were in. I have to assume that the bathroom fixtures are either in at this point or close to it. The rear staircase is done. I think the only thing left by and large is HVAC and the metal panels outside. And then, you know, really, there's a lot of sloppy workmanship on the block outside. So there'll be a, you know, probably longer than average punch list at the end.
Tony, is weather a factor in getting that cleaned up?
No, weather was a factor in putting the block up in the first place because
Ah.
they did it in cold weather. I distinctly remember having to explain to Tanya why you can't put up a block wall when it's, you know, below 20 degrees. The mortar will freeze and won't set under the block. So anyway,
Okay.
you know, usually when you're putting block up, some of the mortar just kind of globs onto the what you built underneath it, and any mason worth his salt just kind of knocks it off with the trowel and keeps going. And then you go so far, and then you kind of take a hose and you carefully spray off the residue that's left. Well, no one even knocked off the mortar, and so now they've got to go back with, you know, pretty much with a grinder all along this massive south wall. So, you know, it's a punch list item, but it's going to take them time to do. And the architect didn't have any qualms about it. He, you know, he almost made it sound like, yeah, it's no big deal. We'll hit it with a grinder. But it's, you know, that's been kind of the nature of the project, with the block especially, sloppy workmanship.
It makes you worry about what you don't see.
What's
You
that?
know? I said it can make you worry about what you're not seeing though, that was done sloppily. Yeah.
Well, thankfully, Beth Steckley has a really good eye or instinct for that, because she's been really good about asking those kind of questions. You know, like not what's behind the wall, but what's going to be behind the wall, and then, you know, she usually wants to see photos of it and this and that. So she's been great to work with.
Oh, that's good.
So the architect said the project will be finished by the end of this month, and I actually believe him this time.
Keep our
Wow.
fingers crossed.
We're gonna have to send up fireworks or something.
Yeah. Well, now we had talked about listing it ahead of completion. Should we be looking at that now?
Yeah, I texted, or I'm sorry, I mentioned that to Greg once I realized it was going to come quick. So I don't remember getting, I'm sure I didn't get an email back from him, so I'll check in with him again.
And what are we gonna list it for?
I don't think we have a set price. I mean, I know Heather gave us an informal appraisal, you know, obviously a while back. And she said, depending on the market and how things turn out, 325,000, 350,000, 375,000. And I kind of turned to her and said, are you really, you know, of sound mind when you say that? And she said, she showed me examples, and she said, Tony, frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if we got over 375 for it. When the bank appraised it, the appraisal came in at 425. So those are the numbers that I, you know, that I hear, that I have confidence in. But what Greg wants to list it for, I guess we'll have to see what his number is and why he, you know, determines that to be the number.
Well, if you can believe what the local papers are saying about the real estate market in the Capital District, it appears to be going through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, Heather has told me that, we don't get a chance to talk very much, but she has been telling me that on a consistent basis for several months. And something's got to be going on because her office is busier by far than I've ever seen.
Well, interest rates are
Yeah, it's refinanced.
basically money is free now. They're almost paying you to take it. So
Right.
Yeah, I know.
people that are still in a good financial position, which is not everybody,
That's for
uh,
sure.
certainly have opportunities.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my mortgage to go to minus 5%.
That's what I think that's how it is in Germany right now. they were actually, there was I think a few times this year that in Germany they had negative interest rates
Huh.
Yikes.
not for a long time, but like for, just because of all the, I don't know, like if I sound like I know something, I don't know how it works, but I remember the news. I was like, what? Yeah,
No,
they were like,
I did hear something about negative interest rates. And that was hard for me to wrap my brain
yeah,
around.
like, here, take $10,000 and have an extra 50.
I'll get in line for that.
No, like, what? How? Just give us the 10 back tomorrow.
That could be
Okay. You got it. I'll sign up for that.
All righty.
Okay, so assuming that they're right and the building's done by the end of the month or soon thereafter, we should have a meeting around that time, maybe, around this time next month, and figure out a big campaign. It's our first building that we've built. It took, God knows, twice as long as it should have. We're gonna get ragged on for that, but what are you gonna do? But we should really play it up, all the positives of the spaces and blah, 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 blah.
I think we can tell a good story.
I hope so. And it'd be way better if we had some photos. So anyway,
Well, we
We're
had
gonna get-
renders. Originally, we had rendering, right? Of
yeah,
what it
but
was going to look like.
yeah, but
Which is not a replacement for photos. I'm just saying
Right.
like that we could,
Right.
if before we get the photos, we could use those, I think is what
We've
I'm saying.
got, I know, we've got drone video of it as it's kind of progressed, when it's progressed. So we have that, and we, there are, of course, interior photos. So maybe we can do something with that.
So do we still have the buildings, like maybe it was the one on Ferry or one of the other ones that still had furniture in it? Do we still have that stuff?
Well, there is still some furniture in there. Most of the furniture is no longer in there.
I was
a lot
just wondering if we had enough that we could stage one of the apartments.
oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
well, the furniture at Ferry Street, I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
wouldn't
different.
recommend it.
Well, it's a different,
Yeah, no,
Well, I mean, is it
Well-
like a dining room table? We could put a big tablecloth on it and hide the fact that it's an ugly grandma table or something. And I love antiques, but I get it.
Right.
Well, or is it worth staging it?
I was thinking the same thing.
Like you can pay people to stage it and have,
Yeah.
nice integrated design
Right.
and
I mean, we
I don't know what
have
it
to do-
costs, but you could do it.
Yeah, we don't have to have Property Brothers, but just enough so the unimaginative can see,
Yes, those people. Oh,
yeah, where you could put a sofa or dining room table or something like that, the bed.
Yeah, I mean, if we did that in one apartment for a month or two, I can't imagine it. Well, you know what? Greg's the guy that would know.
yeah, I was saying,
And it
Greg
costs
should
money.
answer those
it
questions.
does cost money.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, everything costs money.
I know, it may be worth it though, who knows?
Right, it'd be
That's
what's
why I
the,
asked about the furniture, if we had it in our possession already, but apparently not.
I mean, we'd still have to move it. We'd have to
Yeah,
decontaminate it. I don't know what the condition is, but like, I mean,
Well, the furniture that's left at 103 Ferry, it actually is really nice stuff. That's why we left it. But it's just, it doesn't go with the modern look that 791 River is trying to get to.
Yeah, I can
I think they
understand that.
contradict each other.
But there's always paint and fabric. But that might be too much effort.
Well, maybe staging it. Well, staging it would always help to market it. If we spent $2,000 and we got $20,000 as a result of it, then that's money well spent.
yeah,
If
Yeah.
that-
yeah, it would be.
But we
indeed.
should talk to
Or
Greg.
sold it in a month instead of 3,
Yeah, I was thinking of that too. Because at some point,
If we could sell it before the election, that would be great. Because who knows what's going to happen.
I could say a whole lot, but I probably.
Yeah, I'm not. I didn't mean to
Yeah,
go too far down that path. I'm just
keeping my
saying
mouth shut.
it's
Me too.
scary times is all I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, I would say we should ask Greg and see what his thoughts are on all of that.
Okay.
Right, should I make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, should we decide what our next meeting is? I think that's on the agenda.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, you got somewhere to go, Jeanette?
no, just,
I'm teasing
Seems
you.
like a good stopping point.
Okay, so next meeting, which I think would probably be talking about that 291 or 791, as well as whatever happens with the website decision.
when's the board meeting, Tony? Is that the 21st?
Yes, it is.
Could we meet shortly after the board meeting?
That's kind of what I was thinking, because of
I
791.
mean, like maybe the 22nd or the 23rd?
I'm sure I'll make that work no matter what, but let me just make
The
sure.
22nd is hard for me because that's my office job day, but I could do the 23rd.
Friday in the afternoon or something?
Yeah, I can do the 26th. I have a doctor's appointment, but it's not when we would be meeting anyway.
Right. How about the 23rd, Susan? Suzanne? Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
That,
I can do that.
Pretty much works for me too. Ideally, I would leave 3:30 to 4 free. So early ahead of that or after that. I have a standing Friday. I could miss that meeting. It's not a big deal, but
So what time works for you, Andrew?
really anytime on Friday. But if possible, after 4 or so we could end by 3:30.
How about 4:30?
Yeah, that's fine for me.
Okay.
All right, that's what I'll have.
Okay. Now we can adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. Bye.
All right, thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Tony, for all your hard work there.
Oh, no, you're more than welcome. So I'll see you tomorrow, Jeanette.
All righty.
I'll see both of you guys.
Bye-bye.
And let me